welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be taking apart this little crochet head wrap that I found at my local Salvation Army, and I thought this thing was pretty cool because I've never seen anything like this before. And this is actually the same Salvation Army I got the last piece I took apart from. I found 3 items at this Salvation Army all at the same time, the same the same day basically. And it took me a while to find the knot on this one. It wasn't as difficult to take apart as the last one I did, since the stitching wasn't as complicated, but finding the knot to take this apart was a lot more difficult. Yes, I am watching My Hero Academia while playing this. Don't judge me. I had to rewatch it before I watch new episodes because I forgot what happened. But anyways, I found out that this was, well, according to Pinterest, this is called a altered seashell stitch, which is essentially just you do 2 double crochet, you chain like 2 or 3, this one had 2, and then you do 2 more double crochet into the same stitch, and then at the end there, I believe it was a you would do 3 slip stitches and then 1 double crochet, then the 2 chain, the chain 2, then the 2 double crochet. And it was actually pretty simple to take this apart. It did get snagged a couple times along the way, but for the most part, this was actually a pretty easy takedown. It didn't even take that long, and this was actually a good procrastination project because, if I'm correct, I took this one down either before or after finals week, I believe. I can't remember because that was like couple months back at this point. That was like maybe like March or whatever, and it's now like September, so I don't remember honestly, but I do know that this thing kind of fooled me with how it looked, because I truly thought that middle part was just a giant circle, and then they just went and added the edges or the end pieces onto that, and that it would have been like a knot in the middle, but it's not, and you'll see later on in the video why I say that. But this is why I like taking down crochet projects that I find, because how I think someone might have done something isn't how they might have actually done it. So to then take it down, I can see how that person's thought process was going on when they did it, and maybe see, oh well, if they did it this way, maybe if I try to recreate it, I can maybe do it a different way or even a similar way. See, that's what's small right there. It literally got snagged, and the yarn split right there when they were making it, so that on top of it getting snagged, it made it kind of get stuck. But literally right here in these last few rows, you'll see what I'm talking about, because as that little seashell stitch comes to an end, I'm pulling out that last few rows, and you can see a shock on my face. See? It split right in the middle. I wasn't expecting that at all. It kind of confused me for a second as to how or why they did that, but they did it, and after a while think about it, I kind of was like, oh, I kind of get why they did that. And if I'm correct, in a couple of seconds here, I actually go in and explain that, but it did take me a minute to actually get the end of that out, because it was like a knot that was also split. And because it looked like it had been, well, I'd washed it, but it looked like it had been washed before that, it kind of got a bit fuzzy, so it got stuck. And you know, if you crochet, you really want to get your knots really tight and in there so they don't come apart, which if someone tries to take it apart, sometimes this could be what happens, because you don't expect anyone to take it apart, but you also don't want it to fall apart in the washer or the dryer after a couple washes, because then you won't be able to, use it anymore, or you're gonna have to try and repair it. Which, if you're selling that to someone, they might try and ship it back to you for you to repair it for them. But also, that one section of yarn I just pulled out is actually a bit thinner than the rest of it. I thought for a second maybe it was different yarn, but no, it's not. It's just thinner in that spot for some reason. I don't know why. It went from 3 strands to 2. But that's just how the yarn is in that one little section. I don't know what happened. It wasn't me who made it. I have no way of knowing what happened to it in that spot. But that's what happened to it. And that little middle piece is actually just like a row of single crochet 2 on top of that. I believe. Yeah, it looks like those are just single crochets right there. And I guess they started with a single crochet to make it simpler and easier for that section. Then they went into the altered shell stitch that they did. And look at that, there's another knot right there. That's 3 knots in this one section that I've taken apart on one side of this piece. And I want to say this maybe took me about an hour to take apart. I'm not sure. But yeah, see? It's a whole separate piece of yarn just ended right there. And there's still another section. Smart. That's all I can say. It was smart. It's pretty smart to do like that, you know? So I just realized something about taking this apart. These are like 2 separate pieces, so how they did this, they started with these. I'm assuming this is the knot that started it. Did this whole section. Then started this part. Did 2 of these, but then connected them right there at that part. And then just made the other one longer. That explains why there was 2 knots at the end of this, which, now that I know how they did it from taking it apart, it makes more sense now. I get it. I thought these were connected until it just came apart, both of them. So, same yarn, 2 separate sections, on 2 different parts. Well, I just said that. It makes sense. Home stretch. So anyways, yeah, that I kind of get why they did it like that. It seems a lot simpler than what I was saying, because then if they had connected it and just made the middle part a full circle, they would then had 3 separate pieces instead of just 2. So with that being 2 pieces, that means there's a bit less work to do, and it's not as complicated, and there's also going to be less knots, which this was actually fairly simple to take down. And honestly, the pieces I found at that one Salvation Army kind of make me think that I should maybe go back to that one and maybe visit a couple other local Goodwills and Salvation Armies or thrift stores in my area and see if I can find more crochet pieces that are there that maybe I'd want to take down, because then I could reuse the yarn, which is how I got that idea in the first place. I'd seen some videos on TikTok where people were going to their local thrift shop and finding different like crochet pieces, mostly like sweaters and blankets, and they liked the yarn but they didn't like what it was, so they took it apart to make something new, which is what I was doing with this. I don't know if I mentioned that in my last video like this, but yeah, that is essentially the goal here. But also, I just like seeing how the person who originally made it did it, because if I don't know how to make it, I could learn how to do that from there. It's like with this piece right here, they went and took the end chain where like the little string that usually hangs off when you first start off a crochet piece, and they crocheted it into the next row of this scarf, so that way they wouldn't have to cut it off and just leave a knot. They literally pulled it up around the side and crocheted it into that next row so you couldn't see it, and they had a smooth rounded edge. I would have never thought to do that, but this person did, and I just learned something new just from seeing them do that, and that's pretty cool. So let me know if you guys liked the video. Comment below what you think I should do next, and if I should find more pieces like this and make more videos about it.